Tinder? Can it be used for dating, or is it just for hookups? Because I'm sure you've heard that reputation by now. So let's get into it. Okay, so the very first thing that I want you to understand is that any online dating app, whether it's Tinder or Match or eHarmony or whatever, can basically be used for any sort of purpose. So people can get on there and not just pursue a hookup or a real relationship or a real dating experience, but they can find success. So I'm telling you, on Tinder, yes, you can find a hookup, but you can also find a date, a friend, a relationship opportunity, someone just to talk to. You can find anything. And the same results you could also experience and find on, say, Match or eHarmony. So understand that, and also understand that the tool, any online dating app or platform, is only as good as its user. So there is user skill that is a requirement to achieve any sort of outcome. All right, the second thing that I would want to kind of point out to you is, in answering this question, is it just for dating or is it just for hookups, is that you have a lot of people in your ear or just a general sort of voice out there that says Tinder is just for hookups. But I would ask you, who do you listen to? Are those voices that you're hearing like experts, or are they just people who are like your friend, family, media, or just people in general where they're just like, oh yeah, Tinder's just for hookups? Look, here's one thing that I want you to understand. It's not just for hookups. You should stop listening to people who really aren't the best for giving or offering any sort of dating advice, let alone online dating advice, which is even more complicated, in my opinion, than regular dating because nobody was brought up to kind of understand the online dating world, hence all the confusion, all the challenges, and all the struggles with online dating. So understand, identifying who to listen to for your online dating advice is super, super easy to understand. Who you should not be listening to is anyone who just doesn't have the success that you're looking for, the experience that would be needed to make this sort of assessment. So, I mean, anybody can have an opinion, but that doesn't mean that you should be listening to it. Further, let me point something out to you. If you have gotten on Tinder, and I'll bet you have, you've checked out all the people and you've seen a lot of good looking people, a lot of successful people, and everything in between. And you've also probably by now gotten on it. But what I would ask you is this. Are you just looking for a hookup? And you're probably, most of you out there just thinking like, well, no, I'm looking for a date and maybe someone to really possibly have a real connection with. So you need to understand that you can't just associate this negative stigma of everybody's there for a hookup when you're on there. Your friends are on Tinder, your family is on Tinder. So understand that if Tinder were just for hookups, there would be a stigma against it and other people wouldn't be getting on. Tinder is used for hookups, but it's not just for hookups. All right. Next, I want to kind of point out to you that people aren't really that smooth. We're giving each other way too much credit, and as a dating coach, I can tell you that most people don't have the competency to get online and just connect with somebody and convince them to have a hookup. All right, that is a skill. There's an art to it, there's a competency of game required to achieve that. And it's not for everyone. And I would say, I always like to compare in life that there's this top 20% in all sorts of areas. Well, definitely, you would want to, at the very least, be in the top 20% of competency to pull off a hookup, right? So, what does that mean about the remaining 80%? That means that probably 80% lack the fundamental understanding to pull off hookups to begin with. So, they have to go the more traditional and safer route of, having the safer conversations, developing the connection, going out on real dates, than just skipping to a hookup. People just don't have the skill or the competency, male or female. So, I want to point that out as a dating coach. You're overestimating everybody's competency out there. It's not there. Do hookups happen? Sure. Can they happen with less skill? Sure. But to make it a rule that Tinder is just for hookups, I'm sorry, the population does not have that competency, male or female. Next, I kind of want to point out this. I want you to understand that Tinder is not going to be equal results for everyone. So not everyone who, even if it were true that Tinder is just for hookups, not everyone would be able to get on and get a hookup anyway, because as I've explained already, there's a competency requirement required to be able to pull off a hookup. And then there's also the opportunity. I like to use the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, to explain the dating and online dating population. So in general, there's always going to be a top 20% of the population that has access to, say, 80% of the opportunities, the results, the outcomes, the success. So hookups aren't going to be available to the people that are in the bottom population. And what's interesting about dating and online dating is that the bottom population isn't just like the bottom 15% or the bottom 50%. To be the bottom of the dating population just means that you're in the bottom 80%. So really, you're not really winning or crushing it at online dating or dating if you're not in the top 20%, because that's where the results are distributed so unevenly that 20%, that top 20%, has access to that full 80%. So it's like they have so many more opportunities for success than everybody else. So are we talking about everybody being able to pull off hookups? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That means it's going to be super rare and super difficult for people who are not in the top 20%. So that means the whole 80%, this would be a challenge for them. And furthermore, I would say it's a bad game move because it would be so low reward for that bottom 80%. So pay attention to that. Now, again, just want to remind you that, Tinder has all sorts of quality men and women, and you're on it. So remember, if it were just a hookup site, well, you wouldn't be on it, your friends wouldn't be on it, your family wouldn't be on it because of the reputation. So it's kind of easy to understand, like, well, yeah, maybe it's not so easy. And if you want to see if Tinder is just for hookups, just get on there and try to have a hookup. And I guarantee you, you won't be very successful because, as I said, most people don't have the competency. And the people who do have the competency to pull off a hookup don't have to watch this video. So if you're watching this video, I'd say the safe route for you is to understand that Tinder and any online dating app are for anything. But yes, if you're watching this video, the safe play is to not try and go for something difficult like I'm just going to try and find somebody and have an easy hookup. Easier said than done, especially when you're not in the top 20%. So I helped answer your question of, is Tinder just for hookups or can I find a date? You can definitely find a date. There are so many great men and women using Tinder, and there are great people on any online dating platform. And what I want you to understand is anything, any sort of relationship outcome, any sort of experience that you could have from online dating, you could have from any platform. It's hard to win at the online dating game when you haven't been taught the foundational lessons that impact your experiences and success. So let's change that. Click here to watch all 8 videos from our Online Dating 101 playlist, and click below to visit onlinedatingdynamics.com to take advantage of free dating and online dating resources and to learn more about our online dating game strategy guide.